Dino shorts.
The only way to fly.
Though she came from Charleston, Charleston, Charlotte couldn't trust him to save her soul.
Now, I love Robin and the Seven Hoods very, very much. It's one of my favourite of the Rat Pack films. The costumes, the cars, the music, the set design, that wonderful piece where the gambling den is transformed into the mission. Wonderful. But it occurred to me, watching it recently for this podcast, that there's some internal logic in the film that doesn't actually work. Let me explain. We're given a series of characters. Robbo, who's never given a surname, but he's called Robbo. He's got a best friend called Little John. He's got an associate called Will. He's got an accountant called Alan Adale. And he's got an enemy called Guy Gisborne. Now, all these are very familiar names to anybody who knows the Robin Hood legends very well. So we're presented with a film that implies this is a gangster version of the Robin Hood story. And there's no reason why, at the beginning of the film, we're to assume that Robin Hood already exists as a legend, the Lincoln Green, Sherwood Forest, Sheriff Nottingham version. So I always kind of came to the film with that impression that this was a version of Robin Hood when no other version of Robin Hood had previously existed. Midway through the film, there's a sequence where Robbo decides to give to the poor the money's taken from the rich, again, which is a Robin Hood trope. And the newspaper headlines within the context of the film are Robin Hood in Chicago. Robbo is the new Robin Hood. And I thought, well, that doesn't quite work, because we're now led to believe that the Robin Hood legend already exists in the reality of Robin and the Seven Hoods. And Robbo is a modern day, admittedly 30s version of that character. And then we meet Alan Adale, played by Bing Crosby. And we're told that Alan Adale is obsessed with the Robin Hood legend, and it was he that told the press or the papers that Robbo was like a modern day Robin Hood. And I thought, well, again, that doesn't work, because nobody else seems to have picked up on this in the fiction of the story. The fact that we have a Robbo, we have a Little John, we have an Alan Adale, we have a Guy Gisborne, we have a Will, as in Will Scarlet in Sammy Davis. So to me, that takes us out of the fiction of the film, because it contradicts the idea that these people in the film exist in their own terms. So why would then somebody who's obsessed with the Robin Hood legend not be surprised or find it natural that Robbo's best friend is Little John and he has an accomplice called Will and an enemy called Guy Gisborne? So I kind of felt it detracts from the story a little bit, but nevertheless it's still a wonderful story. It really is, and it's very funny. Looking at Dean, he lights the screen up as soon as that moment he comes in to Robbo's initial gambling den and hustles at pool. You can't but not be drawn to Dean. I think that's the same with anything. We've said before in a few podcasts that you can't get help but be drawn to Dean. He just lights up the screen. Frank's in his shadow, in some cases literally with the lighting, with the set, with the darkened surroundings. But you're drawn to him. You're always drawn to him. And as a film, as an ensemble piece, I think it's actually in some ways better than Ocean's 11. It's sillier in a good way. Bing Crosby hams it up. He really does. And it's showing his comedy talent that obviously he brought to the fore with his Road 2 films. Barbara Rush, I think, as Marion, another Robin Hood character, of course, that nobody seems to link to, I think was underused as Marion. And I think in some ways Shirley MacLaine should have played that role. I think she would have brought the role a little bit more alive than what Barbara did. Marion in this story is simply a minor character. And I suppose that's fine because it's not a romance. It's not a story about Robin and Marion. It's a story about Robin and Guy, basically, and their antagonism towards each other, which is brought to the fore, which of course was part and parcel of many of the Robin Hood stories of the ballads of the 11th century. But I think when you look at the fact that what they try to do in Robin and the Seven Hoods is just a wonderful, wonderful, unique way of telling the legend. But again, as I said, the only thing that lets it down now, in this context of seeing it again, as it references its own past by trying to imply that these characters are original. But there we go. Please don't let me put this off you watching it, and I really hope that you still find enjoyment in it. And I still do find enjoyment in it. I do find it a very, very funny film. The lyrics of the song, Mr. Boo was great song. Some fantastic numbers. And you can't really surpass it. And I think it's different to Ocean's 11 as the other main Rat Pack film, because Ocean's 11 wasn't a musical, but Robin, of course, was. And I think Ocean's 11 wouldn't have worked as a musical, and which is probably why you only really get Dean singing and Sammy singing Ocean's 11. But in Robin, of course, they all sing, and again, as a musical, it's not unusual for them to suddenly burst into song. The trinity of Frank, Dean and Bing singing style cannot be surpassed. The direction is wonderful, and the lighting is cannot be surpassed. And it really is a testament to the height of the Rat Pack, of where they were at that time in their careers, in their respective careers. And the Reprise album was recorded a few months after the film was recorded, so it's not a true soundtrack album as such, because Sinatra felt that the original recording for the film soundtrack wasn't good enough to warrant an album release. And it was released again in 2000 on CD by Artanis, which of course is Sinatra backwards, which was a licensed company that was owned by the Sinatra estate. So what you'll hear on the CD isn't the original film soundtrack, which is a shame because we get very few bars of the Nelson Riddle score. There's an overture, but we don't get any of the actual incidental music, which is a shame because it was a great score on its own away from the songs. Likewise, back to Ocean's 11, I don't know why we've never had an Ocean's 11 soundtrack, and I think Warner's really should kind of look at getting that released, especially when it's going to be an anniversary very, very soon, that in a few years' time. Robin the Seven Hoods, of course, is 1964, so it's 60 years old this year, which is why I'm talking about it today. So please enjoy the film, please go and watch it again and marvel in the delights of Frank, Dean and Sammy at their most powerful.
Click on our logo to subscribe to our official YouTube channel. Why not become a member of the DMA today? You can get free access to our exclusive members-only magazine and our Facebook page. Visit DeanMartinAssociation.com and head to Become a Member, the Dean Martin Association. For Dino. For you. For the good times.